In the early morning hours of February 17th, 2003, a stampede broke out among partygoers at one of Chicago's hottest nightclubs. The aftermath of the melee left 21 people dead and over 50 people injured. Let's examine what really happened and who's really to blame for the tragedy at E2. According to news reports, somewhere between 2 and 2:15 a.m., two women began to fight. Club goer Carlisa Howard says that she was standing near the coat room when she heard the DJ announce that if the crowd didn't settle down, that they'd be maced. At approximately 2:23 a.m., Chicago police start to get calls about a disturbance at the nightclub, after which the push towards the exits began. A second call to 911 at 2:24 a.m. was asking for assistance for a pregnant woman that had been pepper sprayed, but the calls quickly intensified. By 2:27 a.m., one woman said that they had sprayed mace and they won't let us out of here. The club was licensed to hold 240 people, yet the official count was 1,150 patrons by the end of the night. Another call to 911 described 3 shots fired inside of the club. The person described that the patrons aren't able to get out of the club and someone has the doors locked. Another person reported calling 911 stating that the ceiling was falling. When police did arrive, they didn't find locked doors, but the police did direct people out of a back emergency exit because literally hundreds of people were trying to leave by an impassable front stairway. It is also reported that someone yelled out, "It's Bin Laden, y'all," referring to a chemical gas attack or a terrorist attack taking place inside of the club. The scene inside the club is chaotic. The security guard indeed did spray pepper spray, and now people are throwing up and passing out from the pepper spray that is now ventilated completely throughout the dance floor and the top area from the club's smog system. A smog machine was next to where the pepper spray was sprayed, and it ventilated the smell out and over the crowd. The crowd is described to be swaying back and forth. People at the front of the exit can't get out because the door is locked, and the door has been locked to stop people who already got out from coming back in to find friends and loved ones. Not everyone can fit through the frame of the door, and yet the crowd is still pushing forward, and this is how some people fell, lost their grip, and were trampled by others who were trying themselves to simply escape. By this point, any sense of ration has been completely depleted, and people are now realizing that they are indeed trapped. Reports claim that a woman shouted, "Tell my mom I'm sorry. I wasn't even supposed to be out tonight." According to one club goer, the crowd was pushing so hard against the exit that the bodies were everywhere and that he was suspended off the ground as he was trying to get through the doorway. All of a sudden, a door that was either in a little known or hidden location was unlocked and a flood of people rushed out. In the 30-plus calls that flooded 911, a variety of things were reported. Yet all of the calls ended with, "We're trapped inside and we can't get out."
We were stuck on those stairs for about 45 minutes to an hour, and it was nothing they could do.
Samuel Bone patrolled the dance floor, armed with mace and a metal baton, breaking up several fights. First, it was a 300-pound man who was brandishing a glass beer bottle. A fight broke out near the DJ booth involving about 15 people. Simultaneously, a fight broke out near Bone. An arm came across his chest, and that's when, according to Bone's statement, he reached for the pepper spray and sprayed it. Ira Navarro testified that over the course of the evening, numerous fights broke out, and that he discovered the back door on the northeast corner had been padlocked when he attempted to eject rowdy patrons. Navarro confronted one of the owners, Calvin Hollis Jr., who told Navarro that the door needed to stay locked because some of the wait staff were charging people to get in through the back and pocketing the money. Navarro continued, stating that at about 2 a.m. near the DJ booth, a lot of guys were punching and kicking, and some women were throwing glasses and swinging purses. After returning from throwing out a rowdy patron, Navarro returned to find that pepper spray had been sprayed. Another security guard, Sheila Kaiser, who worked the stairwell where the stampede occurred, testified that the crowd that night was not normal. Kaiser claims that the crowd was way more rowdy than usual. Kaiser was so worried about the crowd, she had the front doors of the bar locked for 15 to 20 minutes. But by 2 a.m., an employee reopened the door, letting a surge of people in. Approximately 20 to 30 minutes later, the final fight occurred. According to patrons, that's when the DJ announced, "Mace their ass if you have to." The co-owners of E2 were initially charged with involuntary manslaughter, yet neither Calvin Hollis nor Dwayne Cowles are strangers to run-ins with the law. Dwayne Cowles is a Georgetown-trained lawyer whose father is the famed Reverend Samuel Billy Cowles, who is the man Dr. Martin Luther King was going to meet on the night that he was assassinated. Calvin Hollis was part owner of the popular Rush Street Club Dingbats, which is where in 1984, on New Year's Day, Hollins shot and killed an unruly patron in what was the first murder in Chicago of 1984. In 1987, Hollins opened Heroes Sports Bar, and after a failed juice bar attempt, went on to open the club, The Click, at 2347 South Michigan Avenue. On July 19th, 2002, Circuit Judge Daniel Lynch ordered the second floor of E2 Club closed. After 4 inspections by the city, the building code violations had not been fixed. According to club owner Dwayne Cowles, the club had permission to use the second floor, just not the mezzanine level VIP rooms. City building inspector Julio Montella testified that the roof and the wall were in danger of falling as a result of a crack in the truss, and at that point it was agreed to close the club and the restaurant. And the club was not operating in no way, shape, or form under the radar.
Everybody, the Chicago police, the building department, the health department, the city and state liquor departments knew that there was activity going on in that premises throughout all of the period of time up until the tragedy. Why didn't they just say, you guys are violating the order? The judge said, don't occupy the second floor, no nightclub performances, everybody out, and we'll see you in housing court and put you in jail because you violated that.
Police had responded to calls from the club or about the club over 80 times for various matters, including shootings. And in 1996, when the club was still known as The Click, it is the place where a 25-year-old woman accused Mike Tyson of sexually assaulting her inside of the club. In the first trial, Hollins and Cowles were found guilty, and sentenced to 2 years in prison. Yet after appealing, the first case was thrown out and sent from the Illinois Supreme Court back to the lower court, which is the Illinois Appellate Court, due to errors in the first trial. In a verdict that the Chicago Tribune referred to as Sharman Soft, Calvin Hollis Jr. and Dwayne Cowles were convicted not of involuntary manslaughter, but for criminal contempt for violating the 2002 order to close the second floor nightclub for building violations. How could that possibly be the case when not only did 21 people die, 2 people, not one, but 2 people who died in the stampede were underage. They were underage. They shouldn't have even been allowed in the club to begin with. So how is it possible that the club owners got away with such a light sentence? The pair received 2 years probation and 500 hours of community service. Hollins and Cowles paid $1.5 million to the families of the victims and went on to open other clubs in the Chicagoland area. Clear Channel paid the family of Nita Anthony $2 million due to one of the Clear Channel DJs ordering a security guard to spray pepper spray.